going on right now. And your perspective of what's going on right now is creating your truth that will affect you moving forward. Those of you that are hopping on for the first time or new to the group, I am Takia Hansley, your reality shifter, and I help female business owners get rid of their limiting beliefs and mental gremlins so that you can actually achieve your biggest goals. Tonight, we're talking about finding your success in your journey by rewriting your story. What's going on here? Every week, I have different topics that I want to present to you all. Make sure you're taking notes. Make sure if you hear me say, maybe you should just journal about it or anything about journaling, write it down and go back and journal about it. Seriously, like that is life-changing. Okay, just getting it out and learning more about yourself. You learn so much about yourself by journaling, because it's a way for you to not only express how you feel, but to actually revisit and see how you feel about different things. So what does it mean? Like, Takia, what are you talking about? What does it mean to rewrite your life story? And is that even possible? Because you already lived it. How can you rewrite what you already lived? Very easy. You just do it. Okay. Is it possible? Absolutely. So we're going to talk about tonight how it's possible. And since we're talking about a story, let's go through what is it? 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I first learned it, they said 5, but it's actually 6. So the 5 W's of a good story: who, what, when, where, why, and then how. Okay. So you look at your life and every area in your life. You can look at your life as a whole, or you can break it down into the different areas of your life where, if you're looking at your life in a whole, who is the main character? Okay. Who is the story about? Even in each particular instance. So last week we talked about money. So let's think about your money story. Everybody has a money story. What you believe about money, you believe that because of the stories that have happened to you, or the stories that you have been led to believe throughout your life as it pertains to money. So who's the star of that story? You're the star of that story. And a lot of times in that story, other people are affecting what you know, what you believe, what you think about money. Most times those people are your parents, sometimes your spouse or your grandparents, or if you went through some money classes, the people that taught those classes may have influenced what you think, believe, or know about money, right? So, but the main character is you. That doesn't change, okay? What you know about money is, it's all made up from what your experiences have taught you about money. And even in relationships, again, you're the main character because you're the one living your life. So you're the one living your life. And as you're interacting with different people, those relationships are all from your perspective of how that relationship is going. But the other person is like a supporting character. Okay, they have a supporting role in the story of your life, right? So you can rewrite the story. Maybe not, well, you actually can still change who's in the story. But when you reflect on things, think about your memories and how clear your memories are. Some memories are so crystal clear, you're like, I remember it like it was yesterday, right? But there are some memories that are a little etchy. Even if you remember something like it was yesterday, or you remember it like it just happened, even if the memory seems crystal clear to you, you can still rewrite that memory. And tonight we're going to talk about different ways to rewrite the memory. But right now I want to break down the truth of that memory. Okay. So if you think about truth is not necessarily true. Okay. Everything that has already happened, yes, something happened, but the thing that actually happened is a matter of perspective. Okay. So it's what you remember happened. And what happens when you and a group of people that were all in the same place at the same time, and you're all talking about this event that happened? You remember this, and this, and you know what you remember. And then somebody else is like, that's not what happened. No, this happened. We actually did this, and this. And it wasn't that person, it was this person. No, this person didn't say that. That person said it. And everybody remembers something happened, but everybody remembers something different happening. So now we're talking about the who and the what. The what is a matter of perspective. Who was there? Who are the characters? You were there. You lived it. This is your life. But I keep saying that this is all a matter of perspective. But what is perspective? Your perspective, which is why everybody remembers something different. And because everybody remembers something different, everybody has a different truth about this situation. That's why truth is truth is always up for grabs, right? So we have your perspective. Your perspective is based on your point of view, right? So what do you see? Put in the chat, what do you see on Zoom and in Facebook? What am I holding up? What do you see in front of me? It's just a black rectangle. It could be a credit card. So yeah, you just see some kind of black rectangle. That's what you see. That's from your perspective. There's a black rectangle in front of me. I don't see a black rectangle. From my perspective, it's an LED remote. That's what I saw. Because that was from my perspective, from my point of view. So just because we're in the same, not in the same physical place, but we're in the same space, virtual space. We're both on this Zoom. We both saw me hold up something, but we saw different things because we had different points of view. We had different perspectives. So from my perspective, I saw this white remote with a bunch of little colored dots on it. You saw just a black square. We had different points of view, different perspectives. That's how everybody can be in the same situation and see something different, because we all have different points of view and different perspectives. And your perspective of a memory or an event that already happened to you, that's based on your prior knowledge. Your perspective of what's going on right now is based on your prior knowledge, what you already know, what you already think to be true, what you are feeling in this current moment. Okay. So your truth right now is being built on what you already know, on your prior knowledge. That's your perspective of what's going on right now. And your perspective of what's going on right now is creating your truth that will affect you moving forward. Now, not only does your perspective determine what you remember or what you know to be true, but also your perception, okay? The way you perceive what happened in the past. Are y'all following me? Y'all kind of quiet tonight. I need to know if what I'm saying is making sense.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
You have to know the difference between your perspective, which is based on your point of view, what you know, your mental, right? But you also have your perception of what happened, and your perception is what you were actually aware of with your senses, okay? What you actually saw, what you experienced with your five senses. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you physically feel? Okay, that's your perception. What did you perceive was going on in that moment? Okay, and that is based on your awareness, because if you're one of those people that are really keen and you're a very keen listener, then you're going to hear so many things that are going on. But the way your brain is set up, your brain takes in 20,000 bits of information per second. Okay, 20,000 bits of information per second. With that much information coming in, it has to automatically filter the information that's coming into your brain. So immediately, before you even get to the point where you're processing what you see, your brain has already cut out things that are unnecessary, that it deems unnecessary. So that's why you'll watch like some of these cop shows or whatever, and they'll hypnotize people to help them remember what happened during a crime scene or whatever. And when they're conscious, before they get hypnotized, they only remember certain things. Like they only remember the person that they were engaged in conversation with, right? They only remember what was going on at their table. But once they're hypnotized and the hypnotist takes them back to that moment and redirects their focus, redirects their awareness to the other people in the bar. Notice I have a whole scene in my head right now, right? They redirect their awareness to other things going on in the bar, other people in the bar. Who walked past you? How many people walked past you? What color shirt was this person wearing? And, what were they saying at the table next to you? When you're there, when you're sitting in a crowded restaurant, in a crowded bar, chances are, especially if you're engaged in conversation at your table, you don't know what the people at the next table are talking about. But if there's a moment when you're just sitting and you're saying, I wonder what the people behind me or at the next table are talking about, and you just listen, you can hear it. It's not that your hearing is working any better or less when you decide to listen to the conversation at the table beside you. It's that your brain cut off that section of awareness. You're not aware of the conversation going on next, because you're more concerned with the conversation that you're engaged in. So your brain automatically focuses your awareness on what's important to you in that moment. So your perception of the situations that happened in the past or in your memories are still narrow. Your perception is not going to include everything that everybody else saw. It's only going to include those things that your brain didn't filter out in that moment. And when it filters it out, it's not like it just totally discards it, but it filters it so that it's not something that your brain has to actually process in the moment, right? So you have your perspective, you have your perception of what's going on, and then there's the reality of what really happened. And that is just the truth. Your reality is the truth of the existence. Were you there in that moment, right? Did you exist in that moment of time, in that specific place? Did something happen? So the truth of the existence, that is the reality. But that reality is built on your perception, your awareness, and your perspective, your point of view. So let's bring that home. Let's say you're working on your business. Okay, we're going to bring it home to make sure that you understand how to relate this to you progressing in your business. Okay, so you're trying to do something new in your business, but your brain is remembering the last 3 times that you tried to do something new at a piece, working with a new partner. Okay, someone wants to partner with you in business, but you've tried partnering with people in business in the past. So you are remembering each of those experiences in the past where you tried to partner with people, and your brain, which is always programmed to make sure that you are protected. Your brain is programmed to keep you safe. Okay, that's your brain's number one goal, to keep you alive, to keep you safe. So when you're remembering these experiences, if they were not good experiences, immediately your brain is saying, no, absolutely not. We will not partner with another person because it just does not work out. I have this fear. This is the way it went the last time. From people don't look at me with respect. They don't honor my or value what I bring to the table. All these different things, right? All of these things start coming up, and now you are afraid to go into partnership again, all because of what you remember from the past. And each of those things is based on what you believe to be true, your point of view. You could have felt like the other person didn't value your opinion, but the other person might feel like you didn't speak up enough. So you didn't have enough input. Or you weren't available. Maybe they were trying to call you all the time, but they were calling the wrong number and you felt like they never reached out. So all these different things. And again, perspective and perception. So what really happened? What really happened was there was miscommunication. What really happened was you attempted a partnership. That's the only truth that existed in that moment. You attempted a partnership a few times with different people. Okay. So that's the who of the story, and the what of the story, what actually happened, which depends on who's telling the story, which party is telling the story. And another thing about what actually happened, and this is where we get to, we kind of get to think about rewriting the story. What happened, if you believe that one thing happened, okay, back to this whole partnership thing, you're scorned, okay? You're so hurt because the partnership didn't work out. You don't want to do it again. But you and the other person never had that closure sit down to discuss what went wrong. So now, 6 years later, when you're thinking about working with somebody else, but you're fearful about it, you say, you know what? Let me go back and talk to this person and see what went wrong. And all of a sudden you have this conversation and you start clearing up these misconceptions or this miscommunication. It's like, oh my gosh. Now the story that they tell you, you see it from their perspective. And it completely changes your truth of what actually happened because you see it from a different perspective. And you see a whole different truth in this same situation. So what do you think would happen if you just change the narrative of what happened in any situation in your life? just like you accepted what the other person said as truth from your past partnerships, and it completely wiped out what you thought was true from your perspective, the same thing happens if you change the narrative of what happened from your own perspective. Just change your own perspective. Pull yourself out of the situation. And I'm getting ahead of myself. I always get ahead of myself, but it's okay. Pull yourself out of the situation and look at it differently. Reframe what happened. Okay, we'll talk about, put a pin in reframe. We're going to come back to reframe. Everybody following me? We good? Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. When did this happen? We did who? We did what? Oh, wait, back up. Still on what? So if you change the narrative, now you have the opportunity to write a new story. You have an opportunity to rewrite the narrative and actually believe a new story. Have you ever heard the saying, if you tell a lie enough times, it'll become the truth? That's the same, like that's real life. Some people lie so much that they believe their own lies, especially if they're telling the same lie. What do you think affirmations are? Although we've talked about affirmations, and you have to write your affirmations in a way that you're not lying to yourself, so that yourself is not rejecting the affirmations off the gate. But repetition also can outweigh that rejection if you say it enough times. If you say the same thing 10,000 times, your brain is going to start believing what you said just off the repetition alone. If you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. So if you continuously tell yourself that what you thought to be true actually is not true, and give yourself something else to believe in its place, you're going to change the story. You're going to change the narrative. So the what in any situation, again, is fluid. It can be changed. It can be rewritten. When did it happen? We did who? We did what? When? When did this happen? It happened in the past, which no longer exists. So your right now is determined by your past. Everything that you thought, believed, did, felt in the past is what built your today. So, but all the stuff that already happened, it doesn't exist anymore because it already happened. It's in the past. We're not in the past anymore. Now we're today. So we can change today by changing what we think and feel about the past. So if you change yesterday, which built today, okay? If yesterday built today, and I go back and change yesterday, it's going to change today. Back to the Future. Yes, that movie is so perfect. All of them, except for like the fourth one. The cowboy one, that one was weird. But anyway, if you go back in time, you go back to the past and change anything, it's going to affect today. And it can also change the future because, again, today, just like the past is building today, today is building the future. So if you change the past, that changes today, which changes the future, right? Okay. Back to the future. Back to right now. Who, what, when, where? Where is the setting of this situation that happened? But when you're rewriting your story, you have the opportunity to change the setting of the future by changing it today. Okay? So use your imagination to rewrite the past, go back and remember what happened. Remember the way you remembered it. And then question everything about that situation that you want to change. What if I'm looking at it wrong? What if they had a different reason for doing that. There are certain presumptions that you can make. Presume that everybody has good intentions. So if at the time you felt like somebody did you wrong, how can you look at that situation and say, actually, they really were trying to help. They really were trying to help. It just didn't come out that way. Now you feel differently about the situation, right? So you can move forward from that thing. So as you change the past, now you change the way you feel today. And because you've changed the way you feel today, now with a clean slate, you can start imagining your tomorrow with a different feeling in that situation about that thing. Let's say with money. You felt like in the past, you felt like your parents they were always talking about how broke they were, and they made you feel like money was hard to come by. So you grew up believing that it's hard to get money. If you want money, if you want to have money, you have to work long hours. You got to work 7 days a week, 60, 70-hour work weeks. That's the only way you can have money. You can't spend time with your family. This is what you believe. Okay. This is what you remember from the past. But if you look back, so that's the memory, that's what you're holding on to. Those are the feelings you have about it. If you remember the past and think about, but wait, my parents did work all the time. But now that I think about it, we didn't want for anything. Like they were working for us to have extra stuff. We had necessities, but on top of the necessities, we took vacations. We had the flyest clothes, the freshest shoes. We had the nicest cars. We gave, or we didn't give, or whatever. Whatever the situation may be, what was the good in that? Like, where can you find good in that? Now you get to see it from a different perspective. You don't see it as the hurt child that was missing their parents because their parents were always working, and the excuse was, I got to get money. We need money. We don't have money. We got to get money, right? Now you see it from a different perspective. Was that story, like, are you following that story? And how you can actually change that story and change what you believe. Now you just changed what you believe about money in general, right? Now you don't believe money is so hard to come by. They were working hard for extra. But then how can you reframe that to not believe that you have to work extra hard for extra money? Money comes to me easily, effortlessly, and frequently. So now if I spend my time thinking about all the times that money just came to me and I didn't have to do anything for it, how many times did I get something free? How many times did people just give me money for my birthday or just because or whatever? How many times did I get a discount on something? Like all these times money just come to you freely. Now you have a whole nother belief. Like, wait, money does actually come to me freely. I don't have to work hard for money. So now you're rewriting your thought programming. You're rewriting your life story. So that's who, what, when, where, why. Why would you want to rewrite your story? Why would you want to even spend time in the past? Well, because you need to move on. You need to get rid of those negative thoughts. You need to find out what is actually holding you back. And in order to find out what's holding you back, you have to look at, okay, where am I right now? How did I get to be here? And in order to figure out how you got to be where you are today, what built today? The past built today. So you look back at the past And if you don't like it, if you don't like where you are today, I've always said, if you don't like where you are today, change it. But the problem is we try to change it from today forward with the same programming. That's why it doesn't work. So in order to change from today forward, you have to look at the programming that was set in the past and rewrite that program. So in rewriting that program, you're allowing yourself to move on from those situations and limiting beliefs. You're allowing yourself to grow. You're allowing yourself to become a new person. Okay. So you are today who you became. So in order to become the next version of yourself, you have to get rid of and release all those limits and limiting beliefs from the past. So now you get to what they call confirmation bias. Okay, confirmation bias is filtering information in a way that supports what you already believe. So like I said, your brain filters the information around you all the time because it's just so much information to process. Now, when you look back at the past, you get to filter that information to support what you want to believe in the future. So now we're going to focus on what supports the new belief. We're not going to focus on what supported the old beliefs. We want to focus on what will support the new beliefs. So now I want to believe that money comes to me easily, effortlessly, and frequently. So now I look at the past for evidence to support that belief. And this is the filter that I want to now start looking at life through. So now I'm looking for different ways today that money is coming to me. And now I'm writing a whole new story about my relationship with money. That's why, but how? How do you rewrite your story? Okay, remember I told you, you are the main character, so you get to rewrite your story. You rewrite your story by applying the 3 R's. The 3 R's: reframe, rewire, and realign. Okay, first you reframe, which think about how do you do it? A picture. How you do it? Picture frame. Okay, think about a picture frame. And that picture frame represents your perspective. So you reframe your experiences by changing your perspective or changing your point of view, changing your perception of what actually happened, right? So you're changing the way you think and feel about things that already happened to you or that are happening to you right now. And you change it to fit what you want to believe. Okay, you change it to fit what you desire for your future. So you reframe, then you rewire your thoughts. Once you start believing something, once you can see something differently and you start believing it differently and you think about it differently, now you're changing the way you think. You're changing the way you're processing this information. You're changing how you think about certain things and certain people moving forward. And now that you're changing the way you move forward, you're changing your future. You're no longer on the same trajectory as you were on when you believed the negative or believed that thing that didn't support where you want to go. Okay, so and then once you have rewired your thought programming, the final phase is to realign with your true God self. So when you realign with your true God self, and understand that you are a spirit being just living this human experience, and you see yourself in a completely different light. Now you get to see the world from a different perspective, from a different point of view. And now moving forward, and even when you look back towards the past and you say, oh, I was remembering this thing and experiencing this thing as the old me, as a weaker version of myself. Now that I know differently, now that I believe differently, I can see that situation, I can see it differently. And now it affects me differently. And because it affects me differently, I get to move forward differently. Okay, I'm a new person now. It doesn't affect me the same way. Hurts don't affect you the same. People don't affect you the same. Situations, you're not triggered the same. Always remember that you, okay, the concept of you is a fluid concept. You can change. No matter what happened in your past, you can change. The past can change, which changes your today. Your past changes you. If you change the past, you can change who you are. If you change who you are, then you can change who you become, because you are who you became. And if you rewind that and look at the past differently, then you become a different person today. And that today you becomes a different you in the tomorrow. So today, I want to read this. I put this on my website and I was pretty proud of myself for writing it so eloquently. Today, you are the result of what you perceived in your past experiences. In order to produce different outcomes moving forward, you must discontinue the patterns of the past. Reframe your experiences, rewire your thoughts, and realign with your God self. So guys, have an amazing evening on purpose, with purpose. And I will see you again next Wednesday. Same bat channel, same bat time. But in the meantime, as always, be incredible.